Hello there, my name's Scott. Today I'm going to be doing a review on the Chalice 2 bottom fed repairable atomiser, which I received from www.markbugs.com. Before I start, I must point out I did receive it free of charge for the purpose of conducting a review, but my opinion of the product remained true, honest and accurate as always. Okay, let's go straight ahead and show you in a bit more detail. Okay, so the Markbugs Chalice 2 comes in this really nice little presentation tin. And when you open it up, inside you're going to find the Chalice. Now there is a Chalice and a Chalice 2, and as far as I can tell, the only difference is a slight sort of design change in about this sort of section here. Other than that, they are pretty much identical as far as I can tell. Now the Chalice or the Chalice 2 is for bottom feeding mods only. So if you've got something like a ProVari or a GGTS, then there's no point getting one of these. It is for bottom feeding mods only. And what it is, I'll give you a very quick demonstration of that in action. Okay, before I continue, I just want to say a big thank you to a guy called Gingy, or Big Bill from the forums, who very kindly lent me one of his bottom feeding mods. Now the reason I had to borrow one was because obviously the Chalice is for bottom feeding mods only, and I've given away all my ones, so I didn't actually have anything I could use it with. So once again, a big thank you to Gingy, or Big Bill from the forums. Okay, so the way this works, as you can see here, I've just got the base section of the Chalice attached to my device here. And you have a bottle of juice, and when you squeeze that, you're going to see that e-liquid will start coming through that central hole. And that's going to soak up, or get soaked up by the wicking material. Then when you press the button, you can have a nice vape. So it's almost like a sort of reverse direct dripping. So rather than dripping e-liquid from the top, it's just being fed from the bottom. And that is how the Chalice and a bottom feeding mod work together. Okay, so with the exception of what looks to be like two little sort of brass collars, the rest of the Chalice is all made out of stainless steel. The build quality is very good, all the parts screw together very nice and smooth. It's basically made up of three parts. You have the Atomiser section here, which has a 510 connection, then have like the main body, and then you have this rather nice strip tip that also comes included. So once you've made up your wick and your coil, and I will show you how to do that in a second, just got to screw it onto your main body. Add your drip tip, attach it to whatever device you're going to be using, and that's it, you're ready to go. Okay, so what I'll do now then is just very briefly show you how to install a new wick and coil. Now when I received the Chalice, also included was 3 pieces of this pre-wound wick. Now I'm not too sure whether this does actually come included with the Chalice. So I've just looked on the website and I can't see any mention of it being included as part of the the package. So I'm not going to show you how to make a wick using this stuff, just in case it doesn't come with it. And also I'm not a major fan of this sort of pre-wound wick. I do much prefer to make my own from scratch anyway. Okay, so this is just the way that I've been making up my wick and coil for the Chalice. Different people have different methods of doing it, but this is just the way that suits me personally. Okay, so what I've done is I've cut off a piece of 2mm wick and then just sort of folded it over to double it up. Now I've taken a piece of 0.20 gauge cantfield wire, just going to hold all 3 of them between my finger and thumb. And with my other hand, I'm just going to start wrapping some coils. I want to finish it off, so one end of the wire is facing one direction and the other end of the wire is facing the opposite. And that's going to create like a sort of a Z shape, and it just makes it a little bit easier to install. Okay, for the next section we're going to install the wick and the coil. Now if you look very carefully, hopefully you can see in the middle of those 2 brass sections is a small hole. And this is where you're going to feed the wire through, and once the wire has been fed through, you're just going to turn the screw to tighten it up and hold the wire in place. Okay, so I've just taken one end of the wire, fed it through one of the holes in the terminal, I'm going to feed it all the way down, just lift it over the top so it's sitting there in the centre, and then take a screwdriver and carefully tighten it up. And then I'm going to take the other end of the wire, feed it through the terminal again, put it all the way through, and once again just tighten up with a screwdriver. Now when you start tightening up, you don't need to go too tight, just do it so you can just sort of feel it pinching. Now to remove the 2 pieces of excess wire, you can use a pair of cutters, but personally I prefer to just apply a bit of tension, spin the wire around in a circle, and it should just snap off nice and clean. And then to finish off, we just need to trim off the excess wick. So just take a pair of scissors and just trim it off. Okay, so what I've done now is I've just attached it to the device I'm using. I'm just going to give it a test fire just to make sure that everything's okay. What I have noticed though is that I've added 2 more coils than I actually planned to do, so it is going to be quite a high resistance, this one, but luckily this is a variable voltage device, so I can bump up the voltage. Okay, so hopefully these will start glowing. It may take a little while because of the high resistance, but as far as I can see from here, they all seem to be glowing nicely. Okay, so all I need to do now then is just give the bottom a bit of a squeeze, get some juice up there, get the coil nice and wet, and then hopefully should be getting lots of nice vapour. Okay, so now this is all firing up properly. What I need to do now is attach the main body, so screw that on, then insert the drip tip. And that's it, it's all good to go. Okay, so that is the Chalice 2 bottom fed repairable atomizer. Let's go ahead and see what it vapes like. Okay, so that is the Mark Bugs Chalice 2 bottom fed repairable atomizer. And what I'll do now is go ahead and show you in action. So I'm using it on that, I think it's a Red Sky Mods bottom fed device. I've got the bottle filled up with some 18mg strength tobacco flavoured e-liquid, and it's just a PG based e-liquid. The resistance didn't come out quite as high as what I thought it was going to be. It's come out at 1.8 ohms, and as this is a variable voltage device, I've got it currently set at 3.7 volts. Hopefully you can see that, 3.7. It might have been upside down, but there you go. Okay, so this is the Chalice 2. As you can see, like vapour wise, you're getting plenty of vapour out of it. And like the throat heater wise as well, I'm getting a really nice sort of strong kick in the back of my throat. You have to bear in mind though that the amount of vapour you're going to get, the amount of sort of throat hit you're going to get will be quite dependent on your own sort of personal setup with regards to what resistance you've made the coil at, what sort of e-liquid you're using, whether it's a PG based e-liquid or a VG based e-liquid. If you're using like a variable voltage device, then obviously it's going to be quite dependent on what sort of voltage you've got it set to as well. But nevertheless, with the like the setup I've got here, getting a really nice amount of vapour. I'm going to give it another bit of a squeeze though to get a bit more juice up there. Because like I said, it's pretty much sort of like reverse direct dripping. And if you're direct dripping, you take your drip tip off, squeeze a bit of juice in there, have a vape for about 20 seconds, and then repeat the whole process. And it's the same thing with like these bottom fed mods. You give it a squeeze, you have a bit of a vape, and then you have to sort of repeat the process and give it another squeeze to make that wick nice and wet again. And when it comes to flavour as well, I'm getting plenty of flavour out of my e-liquid too. There's not a great deal else I can really tell you about it really. I mean, like the machining on it is very good. Everything's very smooth. Everything screws together smooth as butter. I can't sort of fault it whatsoever. The only sort of slight negative for me personally is that I'm not really into bottom fed devices. And I know these are very popular, but just for me, I'm not that keen on sort of direct dripping. I'd much rather have something that's got a big tank of e-liquid
and all I've got to worry about is just having a vape until it all runs out, you know. But these are sort of very popular devices. A lot of people really like them. A lot of people really like direct dripping. And, you know, for anybody who does own a bottom fed device such as this, you know, and probably like the idea of having a rebuildable atomizer, then you can't really beat this one, really. I think it's going to really hit the spot for you. But like I said, for me personally, I'm not greatly into it. And, you know, I've had to borrow this in order to actually do the review. And when I send this back to Gingy, thanks again for that, Gingy, by the way, then I'm also going to send you back the Mark, not the Mark Bugs. Yeah, it is the Mark Bugs. The Mark Bugs Chalice too. I was going to call it the Mark T. So you're going to get that in the post to you as well, mate. You know, if you do fancy trying one of these out for yourself, go along to www.markbugs.com. Thank you very much for watching, and also come along and visit my website at www.e-cig-reviews.com. That's e-cig-reviews.com. Cheers guys, happy vaping, see you later.